kind of a bit like overwhelming, really, when I think of it. It's just so much in the arts of Scotland.
Incredible artists in Scotland, oh my gosh.
I think the arts in Scotland for me is an amalgamation of many things.
The one thing that I've noticed actually being here in Scotland is how incredibly proud people are in Scotland compared to, I love Wales, but the Scottish people are proud. Welsh people are proud, don't get me wrong, but the Scottish people, they're like on another level.
I think I'm just really proud to be an artist in Scotland.
When I think of the term arts in Scotland, I feel majorly proud, just because I am part of that, I think, inherently.
The arts in Scotland makes me feel happy, actually. I'm glad we live in a culture that celebrates art and our artists in whatever form they choose to use their creativity. I'm very proud of it.
Scotland, we think of Scotland and we kind of pride ourselves on being like quite a progressive, open, multicultural, sort of forward-thinking country, and I think a lot of our art and artists represent those values and we create work.
Because Scotland is becoming more diversified, it's bringing people in from different cultures and sharing that within Scotland. There's this new fantastic thing that's happening where it's just a mishmash of different colours and different people, and that's to be celebrated.
So I know from my travels, from just from experiencing it as well, that the arts from Scotland are appreciated in Australia, in Canada, in America.
The art that we produce, especially in Glasgow, I live in Glasgow, but in Scotland in general, I think is, recognised worldwide for being truthful, honest, energetic, riotous, funny.
All the people that have left Scotland, we're such a travelling nation, and the people who've gone over there, we take part of their culture over, we share it with them. So the arts from Scotland to other countries, New York, the theatres there that have just received productions from us, if we're talking about theatre, but also our filmmakers, our poets.
That's so exciting to get to show our creativity, and also that it's more than just, bagpipes and tartan, and as wonderful as all that is, that there's so much more to what we're able to give.
I think when you look back, even when you look back at history, all great cultures thrive from great art.
Because the public have to understand the sort of broad spectrum of what the arts mean and what it can do for people in this country, be it young or old and everything in between.
The brass tacks, the hard pill to swallow is that everything revolves around money. If you don't have money, you can't really make anything. You can't really kind of like survive.
We're a small country, but you can't go with boundaries for the arts. You just forget about, a line between different countries. We are just part of humankind. That's it.
Recently there was potentially going to be cuts made to the budgets, and I was thinking, as many artists were, oh my God, how are we going to sustain this? And there were organisations fusing together to have a conversation about it, worrying. Everyone was feeling that. And thankfully it didn't happen. For how long though? You're then under this watchful thing of, oh well, it's not happening now, but when is it going to happen?
We just need support. We need, I know that money is such a difficult thing to come by right now with COVID and the cost of living, and I know that the world is burning, but what was everybody doing in COVID? What was everybody doing in lockdown? What was everybody doing? What do people do in these really, really difficult times? They turn to art.
I think if a lot more politicians were vocal about it on their platform, I'm expecting more than one MSP who's like, do you know what my thing is I really want to advocate for is the arts because of this? No. How many of them went home and watched Netflix after doing a long shift? How many of them listened to music on Spotify? How many of them wanted to go see shows at the Traverse and Lyceum at Christmas time? You know what I mean? But they maybe are thinking, it's not really my kind of thing though. No, it is. It's crucial. It's across the world.
there's way more people that are involved in the arts, and it's not just about the performers, it's about people who work in the front of house. There's people who are, costume designers, sound technicians.
All the people that come in and out of buildings, all the people that contribute to make such a thriving industry.
People that work behind the bar, people that work behind the box office, people who have, families to support, and they've just completely lost their income.
The pandemic wouldn't have helped. We're going into a cost of living crisis where landlords and people that own spaces just can't afford to keep them going. It's not sustainable for them and to generate income and be able to pay their rent, their bills. And in that way to keep their staff safe, because staff can't work in venues that aren't well lit or well ventilated or well heated. It's not possible, and we don't live in a very hot country a lot of the year. We're in spring now and it's not even that warm.
I think the Scottish Government need to be more vocal, their support for art and culture.
If I was to ask the Scottish Government for one thing for the arts in Scotland, I would ask them to start acknowledging how important the arts is for Scotland.
What I'd love to ask the Scottish Government to do for the arts in Scotland is stop taking away our funding.
To not cut drama out of high schools, because that's where it starts, that's where the seed's planted.
Really recognising how important it is at a young age at school, and that has to come from the top, it has to come from the government, and there has to be a recognition of how important art is, not just about, as I say, becoming an actor or a dancer or whatever, and it's about really allowing kids to express themselves.
The drama classes they do, the gym they do, which takes them onto dancing, the paintings, the play, the games they make up, the stories they tell in their head. That's what we are. That doesn't cost a penny, but we should be aware that it's not just about a group of people going and saying, we want money for this. It should be so much more. It should be about communication.
I'd like them to care about people more.
Listen, and go and see and be part of, because the Scottish Government is just us, people. We're all people.